got a right pair with me today. I don't even know where to start. I've got a total handful in front of me here in the studio. Let me introduce you first of all to Tom Lee Rutter, who you might have actually heard on this programme before. He's a filmmaker who went to go and see the premiere of one of his films. But also we've got Graham Lloyd as well. Hello to you.
Hello there.
Hello, you doing all right? You doing all right there, Tom?
I'm here. Thank you, Nina. Thanks for having us both. I really appreciate it.
It's great for you to come into the studio. I mean, the reason why I've got you into the studio is because I like talking to people. No, I'm talking to you about the film industry, which I know is something, obviously, that you're both very, very heavily involved with. You're bringing a superstar over here, over to Kidderminster as well, for people to meet and ask questions of. But let's start at the beginning. This show, Upload, is all about meeting the best creatives across the West Midlands, and creatives from all kind of backgrounds. We have poets, we have comedians, we have filmmakers, film writers, all that kind of thing. And I know you as a filmmaker, Tom. So if we go to you from Kidderminster, been there all your life, have you?
No, I'm Black Country born and bred. I moved to Kidderminster. I've been in Kidderminster about 16, 17 years now.
Okay.
But it's my home. I love the place. You know, I get a lot of inspiration from it. There's a lot of creative people in Kidderminster.
There are, aren't there? I always call it the Kidderminster Massive, because there are so many creative people there. I mean, filmmaker, how did this start for you, being a film?
You know what? I was filmmaking right from the get-go. My brother and I, we were making films with our cuddly toys. First, we'd use our eyes to do the camera angles, and then when we could get our hands on the family camcorder, that was it then. The cuddly toys were our actors, and then before you know it, we were cajoling our school friends into being our actors and covering them in fake blood and learning the ropes, you know, into making special effects and stuff like this. And then eventually we just, you know, it just never seemed to go away. We just kept doing it, you know.
And why have you gone into the kind of the horror film sort of genre? Why did you choose that way?
Because I'm a ghoulish little sort. But well, what we found very quickly was that horror was the best for the imagination. You know, it's such a top-heavy genre where you can explore all other film genres under horror. It means you can explore drama, comedy, romance, special effects, the technical side of things, knowing how to, you know, not in a bad sense, but knowing how to manipulate an audience, really. So that means, you know, constructing shocks and scares and effects, and, you know, being able to try and pull it off with some level of success, really. And
you are on IMDb, aren't you? You've got a profile. I was like, oh, look, I think I know somebody a bit famous going on there. Now, one of the films that I came to see was at the Loom Cinema in Kidderminster, which is an independent cinema. Still going, isn't it? It's got new owners, but it's still going as an independent cinema.
That's right, yeah.
Which is great to have. And the film I went to go and see was the pocket film of Superstition. So let me play a little bit of this trailer that you uploaded to us here, then we'll have a chat about it.
Okay.
This moving picture presentation is about to cover many superstitions. Each and every one of us in our daily lives are tied to superstitions of varying degrees. This moving picture presentation will illustrate common known superstitions, and some you may never have even heard of. The pocket film of superstitions. You may applaud if you wish.
God bless you, my darling.
Now, the film is called The Pocket Film of Superstitions. So tell us what the film... Obviously, we know what the film's about, but you created it and filmed it in quite a different way, didn't you, because of what was going on in the world at the time?
Absolutely. It was taking its cues from silent cinema and sort of archaic sort of film styles from the early days of cinema. And, it was a 5-year journey to get that film completed. Wow. And as you may be aware, we were hit with COVID, and sometimes I was having to splinter off and do scenes here and there because It's an almanac of various superstitions through the years, through the ages, and it was just strung together by a narrator in a very sort of light-hearted, Python-esque sort of way.
Yeah, very Python-esque,
so it
actually.
enabled me, really, to just create all these different little scenes separately and then string it together with a narrator and not worry about having to bring people back time and time again. And obviously, when you have to factor full-time work and lack of money and COVID with this, then it certainly ended up being the perfect model to go for, really, and it's turned out lovely.
It has. It's really good. Turned out really well. There's a lot of kind of local people in it. You've also got some of the local musicians. You have the Stiff Joints in it as well. They were also in it. Now, you made it. It's been shown at various places. Hasn't it been shown abroad?
Yes. Funnily enough, 3 films from Kidderminster alone have just played in the Netherlands at a film festival in Breda. We all went to go and see what the crack was, and we were welcomed with open arms. It was brilliant, And today I found out that Pocket Film has got into a festival in Romania, the Dracula International Film Festival.
Do you know what? That must be such a great film festival to go to.
Oh my goodness! And it's taking place over Halloween.
Are you going to go?
Well, unfortunately not, because we've got other fish to fry, which is what we're here to talk about today.
Yes,
really,
exactly. Yeah. Just sort of a question to ask you about filmmaking. You have a full-time job as well, don't you, in film, don't you, at the moment? So, but before you had that, how did you fit it all in, and financially, how did that work?
That's a very, very good question. I mean, I look back on it and I wonder how I did it. I was a support worker before the job that I'm doing now, and you really just look at your rota, you look at your funds, and you think, right, we can fit this in there, we can fit this in here. You just make it happen, I mean, much like fellow Kidderminster filmmakers like Kieran Edwards and Baz Hancher, they both work full time, and yet they somehow still manage to fit it in, all around having families, full-time jobs. But you know what? If you want to do it, there's a means, there's always a way to do it, and you will get it done. It's perseverance and dedication.
Yeah, well, I'm very impressed with you because of the films you've made, the amount of people that are in it, the standard of them, and also the I don't want to give too much away, but the makeup artist that you have, who I've met, that does like the effects, is just incredible as well.
Rachel, she does a great job for us. Again, Kidderminster based, and she's just brilliant. And thanks to working with us, she's ended up splintering off and working with other filmmakers out of town. It's all about putting yourself on the map, isn't it? And I like to think that we put Kidderminster on the map for filmmaking, because for such a small town, we've got such a thriving little indie scene. You
have. It's brilliant. Now, we are going to talk about the reason why you're here in a minute. We're going to play a couple of tracks, and then we're going to come back and we're going to have a chat to Graham Lloyd as well, who's he's an MD. Can I just say that? He's an MD. He's really important. So I'm going to have a little bit more of my coffee and take the white paint off my neck, because I've been a zombie today, don't ask. And then we'll have a grown-up conversation
when I've stopped laughing.
Yeah, with the MD. Graham, in a minute. Joining me in the studio now, I have Tom Lee-Rutter, who's filmmaker extraordinaire, and also Graham Lloyd, who's the MD. Now, you're both here
Dr.
with
Butcher.
me. So the connection between you two is, explain to me how you two have met each other and what you're the MD of. So you making films, what happened then, Tom?
Two very interesting stories. So I made a film in 2017 called Bella in the Witch Elm, which is about a locally unsolved murder mystery.
That is brilliant, actually, that film. I remember watching that, really, and it's such an intriguing story, isn't it?
Thank
well.
you. Well, Graham actually saw that. I think we linked up on Facebook, actually. He said he was well into horror, then he was Black Country based, so naturally you think, okay, someone local, and then you watched Bella in the Witch Elm, didn't you, Graham? And I
did. I started Treasured Films just prior to meeting Tom. Treasured Films is a home video boutique label. And I was, working with limited cash flow and trying to find someone local who could go and produce extras for me. Extras being go and film interviews with cast and crew, and also edit them so we can include them on a disc. And that's how I met Tom. I just said, look, how much can you do this work for? And do you have any examples of your work? and he forwarded me Bella and the Witch Elm, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I thought what he'd managed to do for the limited budget was amazing. It was atmospheric, creepy, kept me gripped throughout, and I thought, this is the man for the job.
It was horribly creepy, actually. Yeah. I mean, I love horror films. I'm a bit of a wuss and I don't like the dark, but every time I drive past the Bella and the Witch Elm place in Hagley, and I drive up past the hill there, especially if I'm driving at night, I'm like, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. I'm not worried at all. Well, yeah. So your heritage in film and filmmaking came from the day of your birth, didn't it? So tell us when your birthday is.
I was born on 31st of October 1973. So I've never been afraid of Halloween. Halloween is my day. So yeah, I had a good upbringing on films, but also literature. My mother was into Stephen King and D.N.R. Koontz, and I used to read quite prolifically, and my mind was broadened, so to speak. And but yeah, I love film as well. My favourite film is Salem's Lot, the original one, of course.
Oh, that is a good film, isn't it?
It's creepy.
And can you believe that's just a low budget TV movie, but what that manages to achieve is it's stuff of nightmares, literally.
It is. I mean, I don't mean there's so many brilliant horror films, but one of the ones that I really remember, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but I remember the Blair Witch Project, which I watched at the cinema in the middle of Birmingham, and came out the cinema, was scared to go to my car. Yeah. And I still think about that when I'm going to like a wood or camping like that. I'm just having a bit of a Blair Witch moment. But there were certain films that stay with you. I think is it 2000 AD, which I think I watched, which scared the life out of me when I was too young. And then all the Hammer House stuff that used to be on TV over the 70s when I really should have been in bed. But but it does look like it's low budget, but what they can do with the creativity and how it gets inside your brain's brilliant, isn't it?
Absolutely. Oh, it is. It's fantastic. And I'm old enough to remember them when we had to have sort of copies on VHS of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Exorcist, because they were still banned in this country, and it's hard for the kids to sort of appreciate that, where if you wanted to buy the movie, you had to sort of import it from the States, sort of in a brown jiffy bag and hope that it got through customs, which is absurd to think of nowadays, but that's how it was. But I mean, horror's great. I like gore. But gore's very good for shock effect, but atmosphere is my thing. If something's atmospheric and really gets under your skin, then it stays with you, I think. Yeah,
you're right. I mean, and that is why something like Alien is such an outstanding film, because you've got, isn't it 30 minutes or something before you actually see what the alien is, but the whole time you have that feeling of, I'm terrified.
Absolutely.
Something's going to happen. Now, you've got somebody really exciting coming over to this country. Tell me who that is.
Okay, we've got a New York director called Jeff Lieberman. Jeff he's released a film called Satan's Little Helper, which we released last year.
It was our second release, wasn't it?
With our second release.
In fact, that was my first assignment for you and Treasured Films, wasn't it?
It was, it was. And I mean, that's a film, again, it's set at Halloween time. About someone who, of course, everyone's dressed up in Halloween garb, and this young naive kid thinks he's just in normal costume, and doesn't realise that he's actually befriended a serial killer.
Hold that thought there. I'm just going to play you something. Does this sound familiar to you?
Satan represents evil, and so in that sense, Satan does exist. Yes!
What's with all the Satan stuff all of a sudden?
Oh, your dad got him this video game called Satan's Little Helper.
What the heck are you supposed to be, Wooly?
Satan's Little Helper.
Are you Satan? Can I be your helper?
This could be our secret door to hell.
Is all that stuff to take people up, kill them, and spill their guts out? Awesome! A pregnant baby! Bonus point!
See there. See, we're ready. We're ready. That's the wonderful Phil who's got that trailer in for us. Producer Phil, who's with us today. So that is the trailer for Satan's Little Helper, and you're going to have. Is he the director or the writer? He's Jeff a director.
Lieberman. Yeah, Jeff Lieberman's a bit of a legend, you see, because he's an atomic age child. So in the 70s, he made a run of cult films that were like socially or politically aware. You know, so all very interesting. He made a film called Squirm, for instance, about carnivorous earthworms.
Do you know, I think I've seen that.
Yeah, Squirm's a classic.
Yeah, that's really familiar. Sort of, you know, I know it was earlier, but there were films like The Blob and that kind of thing, weren't there? So that's sort of like cult film.
An eco horror, they call it.
An eco horror, right, okay.
Then he made Blue Sunshine, which was a comment on post-Vietnam and the hippie movement and how this form of LSD turns people psychotic, that sort of thing. So it's all very satirical and very sort of socio-politically, a good comment on the current affairs of the time, but seeping into a really damn good genre film.
Yeah. So you're bringing him over here. Where can we see him? How's this going to work then?
At the Loom Cinema, of all places. You know, one of the last standing independent cinemas in the Midlands, since obviously Birmingham has befallen some hard times recently. We've lost the electric, which is absolutely tragic.
That is just tragic, isn't it?
It is awful, absolutely awful. I mean, we can't even begin to say how terrible that is. But we have the Loom Cinema here in Kidderminster. It's recently been taken over by our friend Sasha, and it's a great place. We want to host a really intimate event where we bring Jeff over and we watch all of his 5 feature films plus short films that he's made. For instance, his first short he made in 1972, so some rarities. And then Jeff will be there to recount many stories, meet the fans. You can buy him a beer.
Can I buy him a beer and have a chat to him?
Of course you can. He would love that. Jeff is full of stories. You cannot stop Jeff, can you? Really? Once you get him started, he will tell you. But you don't want him to stop because his stories are so amazing. I mean, the person who did the effects for Squirm, for instance, was an early job for Rick Baker, who went on to do American Wealth in London.
Wow, which is
he's worked with the greats. He's worked with the greats. He is a great.
He is a great. And with this show called Upload, which features a lot of sort of local talent and people that wanted to show their creativity, it's going to be a great thing for people who listen to this show to go along to and get some tips, I guess, on filmmaking and also meet you lot as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we want like-minded people to be there. We want Jeff to share the love and share his wisdom and all his stories. And so we want fans of horror and of cult cinema in general and of, as you say, filmmaking to come along. And tickets are only £30 for 2 days of classic cinema with the director present. So for me, that's the bargain of the year, I think.
Including autographs and photos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that autographs and photos of you two?
well, no, that's extra.
So you're based in Cradley Heath, are you? Are you based in Cradley?
Right. We are based in Cradley. We're both the Yams, basically.
Yeah, good.
We're proud.
I'm putting on an accent today.
Yeah, we're proud to be Midlanders, and we want to start something in the Midlands, sort of like for film conventions. And Tom and I have been to several sort of up north, Sheffield, Manchester, and down south in London, which is great. They're great, and we're friends with the organisers there. But we want to get something done in the Midlands, and that's why we thought, well, we'll start this convention. We've released one of Jeff Liebman's films. Why don't we see if he wants to come over? Not really expecting that he'd be interested. And as soon as we mentioned it to him, he said, great, I love the mother country. When can I come? And
brilliant.
Then he pestered us after. So have you booked my flight tickets? Booked my flights? So yeah, I mean, hopefully this will be the start of things to come. We're already looking in Dudley because we've got James Whale there, who's the director of Frankenstein, who most Dudleyans haven't got a clue about, unfortunately. But yeah, hopefully this will be the start of something. So come meet Jeff for £30.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
And,
now, give a shout out to your socials of how we can find you. So, Mr. MD, how can we find you?
You can find us on treasuredfilms.co.uk.
.co.uk, and that's where you can also buy tickets to come see Jeff as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And also our releases.
And our releases, which include web store exclusives that you will not get anywhere else.
So obviously the films that we release end up in the shops like your HMV and your Amazon. But if you order from us, then you get all the little extras like magnets and posters and things like this.
Top tip. I've been to one of the horror cons and it was one of the best days of my whole life.
Excellent.
When I met the whole cast of It.
Wow. I was there that weekend because we were showing Bella there.
That was a brilliant weekend. And also there was someone that was in Nightmare on Elm Street. He was a good-looking guy, good-looking young lad.
Not Freddie.
Not Freddie, no.
But no, those things are great, aren't they? For anyone that's interested in film, like meeting the actors, meeting the people that make them. And it also makes it possibly a bit more accessible for people that want to make things, you know, and they can get some ideas, can't they?
Well,
And go,
what I love
do you know
about
what? You can do it. you know?
Absolutely. I think, you know, the fact that we've started up a label and, you know, there's a thriving horror scene in the Midlands. I've been, you know, everyone usually, their mind goes to the city, doesn't it?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But we're here in the Cradle Heath, in the heart of the Black Country and in Kidderminster, and we're just showing that we can also put on a show, you know.
Yeah, well, that is brilliant. Thank you so much for coming in, you
Thank
two.
you.
It's been great. Thank
been our
you.
pleasure.
I will see you at Halloween. But thank you so
Likewise.
much for coming in. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very much.
you.